That's awesome. I was thinking tonight about what a phenomenal opportunity you had. This is a season of creative women. And just female playwrights are amazing. We've had Lorraine Hansberry's brilliant Raising the Sun, Susan Glaspell's Trifles. Those are two awesome American playwrights. Murder is Announced by Agatha Christie. I don't know how you top Agatha Christie. Jane Austen's Sensibility. And then tonight, the British playwright Carol Churchill. I would say we're done with our female playwrights, but actually we have two more to go. Our grad projects are coming up very soon. One of the plays is in here, Mr. Schwingle. Which one is in here? Hunter? Hunter will be here. Yeah, watch for a production called Hunter. It's by Megan Reimers, who's one of our graduates who's currently working on a MFA in playwriting. And then Chrysopolis is by Lydia Stewart, another of our graduates who's about to finish up her MFA in playwriting. And you may have seen Whales Outside the Window last year. So, a wonderful season of female playwrights. Tonight's play only lasts about 40 minutes. And so, prior to that, we're going to give you a little primer so that you will be up to speed. It's not really the typical sort of play that we do here in Performance Hall. So instead of putting program notes in your little program, they wouldn't fit anyway. We're going to give you some living program notes. And so there's a three-part outline here. Mr. Dave Schwingle, who teaches playwriting here at the university, will come and talk a little bit about Carol Churchill, the playwright. And then Miss Naylor, who is teaching something in the arts, intro to the arts, is going to talk a little bit about abstract art and our show that's currently out in the lobby and how that all fits in with tonight's production. And then I'm going to talk for just a few minutes about a Christian worldview and this play. Okay, so Mr. Swing, you come on.
Well, I have a problem, which I'll refer to in a moment. I also had some dynamic jokes, which I am not going to use because they are not funny. So that was funny. I've given up dynamic for Lent. That's my jokes. It's true. Okay, so not for Lent, just because I had to. Okay, all right. Stop playing. I do teach playwriting, and I'm going to just do two things very quickly. Who is Carol Churchill, and what can we gain from producing a play? And so, Carol Churchill is very simply a British playwright. She was born in 1938. She lived for a time in Canada. She went to University of Oxford and studied literature there. She is married with three children. She and her husband live in London. She's still living, and she has written a number of plays. She's actually quite a revered and famous author and director in Europe and in the UK. You may not have heard of her, you say, and that probably is true. The theater being a geography-based art form like film, you often don't know famous people that work in theater. So that's fine. You don't need to know. But I say that as just by way of preface of who she is. She's well regarded. Her regard is actually growing. My prompt is simply the Cambridge Companion to Carol Churchill, and that doesn't prove anything. But there are very few living writers that have any kind of a Cambridge companion to her. So that's the kind of esteem many people hold for it. For example, there are 8 different contributors to this, and just to give you an example of who they are and where they work. Elaine Aston is Professor of Contemporary Performance at Lancaster University. Ellen Diamond is Professor of English and Comparative Literature at Rutgers. Darren Gobert is Associate Professor of English and Theatre Studies at York University in Toronto. Jean Howard is the George Delacour Professor in Humanities at Columbia University and Chair of the Department of English and Comparative Literature, and so on. So she's one that people study. That's one reason, that's who she is. It's one reason why we're getting to see her tonight. This may be the only time, being a British playwright not as well known here in the States, this may be the only time you ever get to be near one of her plays, or maybe your children get to be near one of her plays. So it's a great thing. Another reason that we're producing her plays is to really understand a drama. You can certainly study in a classroom setting, take notes and read and write essays. But drama is unique in that play script can be seen as a piece of literature, but really it's a blueprint for performance. And so one of the examples for us here at the university is we've always produced Shakespeare, because you can study him and you can appreciate the ambiguity and the way that he put poetry together, but really you have to see it on the stage. And so we try to do that every year here, so you get to witness how this thing works in space. So that's one reason. It's another reason we're doing this. A third reason is, like I think Shakespeare, Caryl Churchill is widely known and regarded for her use of form in humor. This is where I get excited, and this is probably the farthest stretch for us as an audience, because it is like as you probably mentioned, an abstract painting, and that's going to be mentioned under Ms. Nando's talk. But it is more of an abstract piece. So what that means is, and what that has to do with her connection to form, is Caryl Churchill, none of her plays are the same. Every play is different in style, structure, and form. That's not by accident or laziness. It's because whatever the subject matter is, that's how the play is written, according to that subject matter. I said from the go, that's like Shakespeare. Well, I would suggest that that's very true, because what was so unique about Shakespeare is not that he wrote an Iambic pentameter for 4 hours, right? Take Hamlet, it's about 4 hours long. Most of that is Iambic pentameter. Be-dum. And that's part of beat. That's actually not why he's a genius, because people before him wrote an Iambic pentameter. Did it very regularly. If you watch or read a Christopher Marlowe play, it's very regular. The thing that Shakespeare did was brilliant, and better than Marlowe, better than others that wrote like that in Charmed Sense, is that he varied the line. Stay with me, this is not technical. He varied the line according to what was happening at the moment in the scene or with the character. So Macbeth says, out, brief candle, that's one of these lines, which is like, my life is over, out, brief candle, blow candle. That's the idea, right? But it's not out, brief candle. It's out, brief candle, lives. And so the out is connected to what's actually happening. The action is blowing the candle out. You have to blow it out, blow it once. You have to try to blow it out. So the rhythm of the line actually mirrors what's happening in the line and what's happening emotionally with Macbeth at that exact moment. And I can give you lots of illustrations. And that's why when you actually study Shakespeare, you come to realize over the course of these thousands of lines, these lines are that technically nuanced. And it's just, it's astounding, actually. And Caryl Churchill's plays are in the same vein, in that the moments are that technically nuanced, and the form and the structure has just as much meaning as what's happening on the stage. And that's difficult to take in. And I don't expect you, I don't think anyone walked away thinking, oh, look at that technical nuance, perhaps. But that's one of the reasons it's great to see for work tonight. So I think that's all I have. So on to the next person.
I'm not going to talk about the problem that off the top of my head. So I'll misspeak.
I have notes in my head.
Yeah, I will misspeak. I did write it down. Hopefully it will help me stay on topic and I will make more sense. I hope if you haven't had the opportunity when you were coming in to take some time to look at the artwork in the lobby, I hope that you'll take a few minutes after the show to do so. Frida Sue's work, Frida Sue teaches here at the art department at the university. Her work is part of an ongoing series of art exhibitions that the Theater Arts Department has sponsored this year. And we hope to continue hosting. Our first art show was done by Michelle Radford, and you had the opportunity to see that last semester dealing with motherhood and maternity and creativity. And this semester then we have Frida Sue's work. This year we've had 2 exhibitions, and they've both been part of our larger season, the Alan Shore Season of Creative Writing, which Mr. Powell referred to. So if you take a few minutes when you step out into the lobby, Frida Sue's artist statement is out there, and you'll find that her show, which is called Finding the Way Home, folds in nicely with tonight's production of Far Away. Hopefully you'll notice that. I can help you make those connections. And it also folds in nicely with the final show of our season, which is a play by Horton Foote called A Young Lady Property. Both of these plays express theatrically, in part, what Frida is expressing in her work, in her artwork. Questions of where is our place, or where is our home, how do we locate In her artist statement, Frida says this: throughout the years, I realized that my concept of home is not based on either geographical locale or physical possessions. My nostalgia comes from the people I meet along the way. Each place that I move, people remind me of home. And what's more, they bring out part of me that I haven't even met. So a few nights ago, Frida had the opening reception for her show, and I took a few minutes to chat to her about it. And she made the comment that the subject of her work, which hopefully you noticed, the objects of her work, rocks, the boats, the hermit crabs, are really a portrait of herself. She is painting abstract portraits of herself. And I would go farther and say she's also creating abstract portraits of a place that represents who she is and who she is becoming. So I'm sure some of you had the opportunity to glance at the work, and you didn't notice or recognize it as a portrait, not what you would describe as a portrait, because it isn't a mimicry of her face or something that you recognize immediately. We think of a portrait as being a realistic copy of someone's image, something that mimics reality. This is where we tend to get in trouble when we look at art. And when we look at abstract art, we want to apply the rules of realism or the rules of naturalism to the art. We expect an abstract piece to represent surface reality in the same way a realistic piece of artwork or realistic play does, but it doesn't. And so we dismiss it incorrectly and sometimes ignorantly as an inferior work. We assume it is lacking in aesthetic value because it doesn't mimic seen reality. So in Frida's work, she's representing herself and her place through abstract images of objects. Together, these images form a complex picture of her. So when you're watching the play tonight, remember that Carol Churchill is trying to say something about a reality that is deeper than an objective surface reality. She creates abstract portraits of her characters so that she can get to some deeper truth that's beyond the surface. As Christians, this ought to make perfect sense to us. We don't believe that reality is only what we can see. We don't believe that surface reality is the only thing that exists. We actually have robust faith in the unseen. And we believe that what occurs beyond the surface of reality is consequential to what you see. The unseen affects the seen. So in many ways, all art, all aesthetic movements, from the Greeks to the moderns to the present day, are attempting to understand what is real, what is essential. When you're watching the play tonight, look beyond the surface to what you find that is essential. What is the playwright trying to say about reality? What is she trying to say about what is true? So Frida's work in the lobby ought to encourage you to ask the same question. What is she saying about reality? She gives us a little help in her artist statement when she quotes scholar Bell Hooks in her book, Belonging: A Cultural Place. Bell Hooks says, "This is what the experience of exile can do. It changes your mind, utterly transforms your perception of the world you belong to." So while tonight's play is about many things, it offers many options for interpretation. It deals with the issues of exile and displacement, like Frida's work, and how displacement affects the main character's perception of her home, her perception of her place, her perception of her environment, and her perception of herself. Churchill presents to us in this play several layers of abstraction that she uses to get us to think more deeply about what's real. All right, Mr. John.
Okay, we're expending a lot of mental energy, right? That's fine, but you have all weekend to rest up. So hang in there with me for just, please ignore the man behind the curtain there. We are going to spend just about 5 more minutes and talk about this particular play and how it fit into our Christian worldview as a theater department here at Bob Jones University, a Christian liberal arts university. So here we go. The play that you're going to see tonight is designed to make you feel uncomfortable. If you feel uncomfortable, then it's successful. That's what the playwright was trying to do. In it, we encounter brutality, callous disregard for human life, chaotic wartime conditions, helplessness, hopelessness. I was reminded of this play just last week when these stories appeared in my newsfeed, actually. This particular one is from the National Review, and it's referring to the civil war in Syria. Just when you think the situation in Syria can't possibly grow worse, it does. A limited ceasefire was supposed to take effect Friday in Syria, but there is no sign the fighting will stop. Let's skip down to a paragraph a little later. While it's difficult to sort fact from fiction in any account of Syrian fighting, the best available reporting indicates that Pentagon-backed Kurdish rebels are now clashing with CIA-backed Syrian rebel battalion for control of territory in Aleppo. America is now in a proxy war with itself. That'll make more sense to you when you get to the last scene of Far Away. This is another story from the Washington Times. Syria, already a catastrophe, seems on the verge of an uncontrollable disaster. Tens of thousands of new refugees have fled Aleppo and its environs to the recently closed Turkish border. Mercy Corps, one of the few aid agencies in a position to help them, said Tuesday that its supplies will soon run out. For those who haven't fled, the encirclement of Aleppo would leave up to 300,000 people still residing in the city cut off from humanitarian aid. Well, as horrible as this news is, this tragic war we read about in Syria is only one small skirmish in a long history of man's inhumanity to man. From the day that Cain murdered Abel, and his blood cried out to God from a plot of ground somewhere in the Middle East, only a few miles from where they're fighting in Syria now, murder and bloodshed have been a part of mankind's story. Right? Well, speaking of mankind's story, those of you who are students in a Christian liberal arts institution are familiar with the concept of the meta-narrative, the overarching story of the Bible and of the history of the world, and that is creation, fall, redemption. Creation, fall, redemption. We've heard that many times. This play touches on two critical parts of that overarching story. It focuses primarily on the fall, but when we get toward the end of the play, we'll also see how it touches on creation. In the first scene, we glimpse a loss of innocence, a web of deceit, the brutality of man, and the fear that springs from the knowledge of good and evil. In the middle section of the play, we see the characters coping with the horrifying effects of sheer barbarism in a totalitarian state by trying to live normal lives in the midst of a dysfunctional political system, and reminded somewhat of the German society in the midst of World War II with the Nazi state. In the last act, we discover that nature itself, or what we would call creation, has been harnessed in the service of nation states, and God's creation that was designed to be under the dominion of mankind has actually become a weapon to destroy the image bearer. Now, I'm not suggesting that Carol Churchill, the playwright, is concerned about our meta-narrative. There's no indication that she believes in creation, fall, redemption in the same way that we do. But she's a human being who's keenly aware of the human condition, and as an artist, she observes and asks questions. Now, there are several questions raised in the play. We don't have time to discuss them all, but for me, one of the most important questions she raises is, what are we to do? I mean, in the midst of chaos and death and destruction, what can we do? Apologist and theologian Francis Schaeffer published a short book in 1973 called Art and the Bible. We study that in some of our classes in the School of Fine Arts. In it, he suggests a Christian approach to various themes in art and literature. So he divides the Christian worldview into what he calls major and minor themes. he says, quote, "The minor theme is the abnormality of the world, which falls into two basic parts. Men have revolted from God and are lost, and therefore are in despair. Or, Christians are plagued by sin and deceit and are tempted, therefore, to despair." Now, the opposite of that minor theme, which we'll have to all acknowledge exists in the world, is the major theme, which is about the meaningfulness and the purposefulness of life. Focuses on redemption, primarily. But we don't have time tonight for a complete discussion of the major themes and the minor themes. We're going to condense the argument by just noting the Christian artist acknowledges the existence of both of these themes in the world, major and minor. Neither theme tells the whole story about creation, fall, redemption. If the Christian artist parks only in the minor theme, then there is a real possibility of failing to offer God's gracious message, which is He's not willing that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance. But if a Christian acknowledges only the major theme, then the Christian artist might fairly be accused of being romantic and sentimental. So the Christian artist acknowledges both to be true to what is. But Schaeffer goes on to say, we can't judge an artist's work from just one piece of art. We must judge an artist's performance and an artist's worldview on the basis of as much of that artist's work as we can see. Well, of course, this becomes thorny when it comes to theater because we have multiple artists at work, playwrights and directors and actors and designers, all working in one work of art, or many works of art. So tonight, the BJU Theater presents Far Away as part of a unified season of work that has included family dramas and murder mysteries and romantic literary classics. All these works are by or about women. And some stories have offered hopeful solutions, and some have offered forgiveness, and others have simply raised questions about the human condition. Tonight we encounter a dystopian future that looks at the death of a culture and asks what can be done. In a few weeks, in the same space, we'll end our season with a play that comes back home and offers forgiveness and a bright hope. It may be helpful at the end here to come back to a quote from Art and the Bible. Schaeffer says, even the Bible is an extended body of books. It cannot be read as if any one book or one chapter included the whole. It must be read from beginning to end. If that's true of the Word of God, how much more is it true of the artist's work? If a Christian is to be an artist, her goal over a lifetime should be to produce a wide and deep body of work.
I can't sleep.
It's the strange bed.
No, I like different places.
Are you cold?
No,
Do you want a drink?
I think I am cold.
That's easy enough, and there's extra blankets in the cupboard.
Is it late?
2.
Are you going to bed?
Do you want a hot drink?
No, thank you.
I should go to bed then.
Yes.
It's always odd in a new place. Once you've been here a week, you look back at tonight, and it won't seem the same at all.
I've been to lots of places. I stayed with friends at their houses. I don't miss my parents if you think that.
Do you miss your dog?
I miss the cat, I think.
Does it sleep on your bed?
No, because I chase it off. But it gets in if the door is not properly shut. You think you've shut the door, but it hasn't caught, and she pushes it open in the night.
Come here a minute. You're shivering. Are you hot?
No, I'm all right.
You're overtired. Go to bed. I'm going to bed myself.
I went out
When? Just now?
just now.
No wonder you're cold. It's hot in the daytime here, but it's cold at night.
The stars are brighter here than at home.
That's because there's no street lights.
I couldn't see much.
I don't expect you could. How did you get out? I didn't hear the door.
I went out the window.
I'm not sure I like that.
No, it's quite safe. There's a roof in the tree.
When people go to bed, they should stay in bed. Do you climb out of your window at home?
I came at home because... No, I don't.
I'm responsible for you.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Well, it's enough adventures for one night. You'll sleep now. Off you go. Look at you. You're asleep on your feet.
There was a reason.
For going out?
I heard a noise,
An owl?
a shriek.
An owl then. There are all sorts of birds here. You might see a golden oriole. People come here specially to watch birds, and sometimes we make your coffee or sell bottles of water because there's no cafe. People don't expect that, and they get thirsty. You'll see in the morning what a beautiful place it is.
It was more like a person screaming.
It's like a person screaming when you hear an owl.
It was a person screaming!
Poor girl. What a fright you must have had imagining you heard somebody scream. You should have come straight down here to me.
I wanted to see.
It was dark.
Yes, but I did see.
What do you imagine you saw in the dark?
I saw my uncle.
Yes, I expect you did. He likes to bite the bear. He wasn't screaming, I hope.
No.
That's all right then. Did you talk to him? I expect you're frightened. He asked, what are you doing out of your bed so late?
I stayed in the tree.
He didn't see you?
No.
He'll laugh when he finds out you're up in the tree. He'll be cross, but he doesn't mean it. He'll think it's a good joke. It's the sort of thing he did when he was a boy. So bed now. I'll go up too.
He was pushing someone. He was bundling someone into a shed.
He must have been putting a big sack in the shed. He works too late.
I'm not sure if it was a woman. It could have been a young man.
Well, I have to tell you, when you've been married as long as I have, there are things people get up to. It's natural. It's nothing bad. That's just friends of his your uncle's having a little party with.
Was it a party?
Just a little party.
Yes, because it wasn't just that one person.
No. There'd be a few of his friends.
It was a lorry.
Yes, I expect there was.
When I put my ear against the side of the lorry, I heard crying inside.
How could you do that from up in the tree?
I got down from the tree. I went to the lorry after I looked in the window of the shed.
There might be some things that are none of your business when you're a visitor in someone else's house.
guess I'd rather not have seen. I'm sorry.
Nobody saw you.
They were thinking about themselves.
I think it's lucky nobody saw you.
If it's a party, why is there so much blood?
There isn't any blood.
Yes!
Where?
On the ground!
In the dark? How could you see that in the dark?
I slipped in it! I mostly wiped it off.
That's where the dog got run over this afternoon.
Wouldn't it have dried up?
Not if the ground was muddy.
What sort of dog?
Oh, big dog, a big mongrel.
That's awful. You must be very sad. Had you had it long?
No, he was young, never very obedient. He ran out while Lori was backing up.
What was his name?
Flash.
What color was he?
Black with a bit of white.
Why were there children in the shed?
Children.
Don't you know what children?
How could you see there were children?
There was a light on. That's how we could see the blood inside the shed. I could see the faces and which ones of them had blood on.
You found out something secret. You know that, don't you?
Yes.
Something you shouldn't know.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Something you must never talk about, because if you do, you could put people's lives in danger.
Why? Who from? From my uncle?
Of course not from your
From
uncle.
you?
Of course not from me. Are you mad? I'm going to tell you what's going on. Your uncle's helping these people. He's helping them escape. He's giving them shelter. Some of them were still in the lorry. That's why they were crying. But your uncle's going to take them all out into the shed. And then they'll be all right.
There was blood on their faces.
That's from before.
There was blood on the ground.
Because they were attacked by the people your uncle's saving them from. One of them was injured very badly. Your uncle bandaged him up.
He's helping them.
That's right.
There wasn't a party. There wasn't a dog.
No. I'm trusting you with the truth now. Something you must never talk about, because if you do, you put your uncle's life in danger, and mine, and even your own. You won't even say anything to your parents.
Why did you have me to stay if you've got this secret going on?
The lorry should have come yesterday. It won't happen again while you're here.
It can now, because I know. You don't have to stop for me. I can help Uncle in the shed and look after them.
No. He has to do it himself. But thank you for offering. That is very kind. So after all that excitement, do you think you can go back to bed?
Why was Uncle hitting them?
Hitting who?
He was hitting a man with a stick. I think the stick was metal. He hit one of the children.
One of the men in the lorry was a traitor. He wasn't really one of them. He was pretending to be. He was going to betray them. They found out and told your uncle. He attacked your uncle. Then he attacked the others. Your uncle had to fight him.
That's why there was so much blood.
Yes, it had to be done to save the others.
He hit one of the children.
That would have been the child of the traitor. Or sometimes you get bad children who even betray their parents.
What's going to happen?
They'll go off in the lorry very early in the morning.
Where to?
Where they're escaping to. You don't want to have to keep any more secrets.
He only hit the traitors.
Of course. I'm not surprised you can't sleep. What an upsetting thing to see. But now you understand. It's not so bad. You're part of a big movement now to make things better. You can be proud of that. You can look at the stars and you can think, here we are in our little bit of space, And I'm on the side of the people who are trying to put things right. And your soul will expand right into the sky.
Can't I help?
You can help me clean up in the morning. Will you do that?
Yes.
So you better get some sleep.
There's plenty of blue.
I think I'm starting with black.
Color always wins.
I will have color. I'm starting with black to set the color off.
I did one last week. There was an abstract picture of the streets. Yellow for the buses, blue for the flats, red for the leaves, gray for the sky. Nobody got it, but I knew what it was. There's little satisfaction to be had.
Don't you enjoy it?
You're new here, aren't you?
This is my first hat. My first professional hat.
Did you do hat in college?
My degree hat was a draft 6 feet tall.
You won't have time to do something like that in a week.
I know.
We used to have 2 weeks before a parade, and then they took it down to 1. And now they're talking about cutting a day.
So we have an extra day off.
We'd get a day's less money. We wouldn't make such good hats.
Can they do that?
You'd oppose it, would you?
I've only just started.
You'll find there's a lot wrong with this place.
I thought it was one of the best jobs.
It is. Do you know where to go for lunch?
I think there's a canteen, isn't there?
Yes, but we don't go there. I'll show you where to go.
Your turn.
I go for a swim in the river before work every morning.
Isn't it dangerous?
Your turn.
I've got a pilot's license.
I stay up till 4 in the morning watching the trials.
I'm getting a room in a subway.
I've got my own place.
Have you?
Do you want to see it? That's coming on.
I don't understand yours, but I like it better.
I'm not really trying. I've been here too long.
Will you leave?
My turn. There's something wrong with how we get the contracts.
But we want the contracts.
But what if we don't deserve them? What if our work really isn't the best?
So what's going on?
I'll just say a certain person's brother-in-law. Where does he work, do you think?
Where does he work?
I'm not talking about it in here. Tell me something else.
I don't like staying in the evenings and watching trials.
Watch them at night after I get back.
Back from where?
Where do you like? I don't really care for animal hats much myself.
I was a student.
Abstract hats are back in a big way.
I've always liked abstract hats.
You must not have noticed when everyone hated them.
It must have been before my time. It's just that if you're going on about it all the time, I don't understand why you don't do something about it.
This is your third day.
The management's corrupt. You've told me. We're too low paid. You've told me.
It's too much greed.
It's meant to be too much.
I noticed you looking at that Fairboys hat. I hope you told him it was derivative. I'm the only one in this place who's got any principles. So don't tell me I should do something. Spend my days wondering what to do.
So you'll probably come up with something.
It's beautiful.
You like it?
I do.
I like yours too.
You don't have to say that. It's not really one of my best.
No. It's got, I don't know, it's a confident hat.
I've been doing hats for 6 years now, so I'm a valued old hand. So when I go and speak to a certain person, he might just pay attention.
You're going to talk to him?
I have an appointment after work.
You could lose your job.
I might.
I'm impressed.
That was the idea.
Will you mention the brother-in-law?
First, I'll talk about the money. Then I might just touch on the brother-in-law. I have a friend who's a journalist.
Will you touch in the journalist?
I might simply imply something about the journalist without giving him away. It might be better if he can't trace the journalist back to me,
But he will suspect.
however much he suspects. One thing if I lost my job.
What's that?
I'd miss you.
Already?
sport.
It's going to be all downhill from now on.
You can't win every week.
That's what I mean.
No, but you'll do a fantastic body of work while you're here.
Sometimes it seems such a pity that they don't keep more of them.
What would we do with them? There'd be way too many.
We could reuse them.
Exactly. And then we'd be out of a job.
It just seems so sad to burn them with the bodies.
No, I think that's the joy. The hats are ephemeral. It's like a metaphor for something or other.
Well, life.
Well, life, there you are. I have nearly 300 hats I've made. I've only had 3 win and go in the museum. But that's never bothered me. You make beauty and it disappears. I love that.
You're so...
What?
You make me think in different ways. Like, I'd never have thought about how this place is run, and now I see how important it is.
I think it did impress a certain someone I was speaking from the high moral ground.
Tell me again exactly what he said at the end.
These things must be thought about.
I think that's encouraging.
Or it could mean he'll think of how to get rid of me.
That's a fantastic shape to start from.
It's a new one for me. I'm getting inspired by you.
There's still the journalist. If he looks into it a bit more, I bet we could expose the corrupt financial basis of how the whole hat industry is run. Not just this place. I bet the whole industry is dodgy.
Do you think so?
I think we should find out.
You've changed my life. You know that?
If you lose your job, I'll resign.
We might not get jobs in hats again.
There's other parades.
But I think you're a hat genius.
Unless all the parades are corrupt.
I love these beads. Here, use these beads.
No, you have them.
No, you.
Poison the wasps.
Yes. I think all the wasps have to go.
I was outside yesterday on the edge of the wood when a shadow came over and there was a cloud of butterflies. The trees and bushes were red with them. 2 of them clung to my arm. I was terrified. Another one got in my hair. I managed to squash them.
I haven't had a problem with butterflies.
They can cover your face. The Romans used to commit suicide with gold leaf, just slip it down their throat and cover your windpipe. I think of that with butterflies.
I was passing the orchard the other day. There were horses standing under the trees, and then suddenly wasps came up from under the plums and attacked them. There they galloped by, screaming, with their heads made of wasps. I wish she'd wake up.
We don't know how long she'd been walking.
She was right to come.
You don't go walking off in the middle of a war.
You do if you're escaping.
We don't know that she was escaping.
She was getting to a place of safety to regroup.
Is this a place of safety?
Relatively, yes, of course it is. Everyone thinks it's just a house.
The cats have come in on the side of the French.
Never liked cats. They scratch, they smell. They only like you because you feed them. I used to have one cat that would just take some bit of you in its mouth.
Do you know they've been killing babies?
Where's that?
In China. They jump in the cots when nobody's looking.
But some cats are still okay.
No, I don't think so.
I know a cat up the road.
You must be careful of that.
But we're not exactly on the other side from the French. It's not as if they're the Moroccans, the ants.
It's not as if they're the Canadians, Venezuelans, and mosquitoes.
It's not as if they're the engineers, the musicians, the children under 5,
Car salesmen.
Portuguese, car salesmen,
Russian swimmers.
Thai butchers.
Latvian dentists.
No. The Latvian dentists have been doing a good work in Cuba. They have a house outside Havana.
But Latvia has been sending pigs to Sweden. The dentists are linked to the international dentistry, and that's where their loyalty lies. With dentists in Dar es Salaam.
We don't argue about Dar es Salaam.
You would attempt to justify the massacre of Dar es Salaam? She's come here because you're here on leave, and if anyone finds out, I'll be held responsible.
It's only until tomorrow. I'll wake her up. I'll let her sleep.
Did you see the program about crocodiles?
Yes, but crocodiles. The way they carry their baby crocodiles down to the river in their mouths.
Don't you think everyone helps their own children?
I'm just saying, I wouldn't be sorry if they were on one of the sides we have alliances with. They're unstoppable, come on.
Crocodiles are evil, and it is always right to be opposed to crocodiles. Their skin, their teeth, the foul smell of their mouths from the dead meat. Crocodiles wait till zebras are crossing the river and bite the weak ones with those jaws and pull them down. Crocodiles invade villages at night and take children from their beds. Crocodiles carry a dozen heads back to the river, tenderly like it carries its young. Lets them bob about as trophies in the water till they rot.
I'm just saying we could use that.
And the darling little white birds, the smallest one left behind, squeaking, "Wait for me, wait for me," and their mother who would give her life to save them.
Do we include mallards in this?
Mallards are not a good water bird. They commit rape on the side of the elephants and Koreans. But crocodiles are always in the wrong.
Do you think I should wake her up or let her sleep? We won't have much time together.
Do you agree with me about the crocodiles?
What's the matter? Don't you know whose side I'm on?
I don't know what you think.
I think what we all think.
Take deer.
You mean sweet little Bambis?
Do you mean that ironically?
I mean it sarcastically.
Because they burst out of parks and storm down from mountains and terrorize shopping malls. If the does run away when you shoot, they run into somebody else and trample them with those vicious little shining hooves. The fawns get under the feet of the shoppers and send them crashing down escalators.
I
The
know
young
they
bucks
hate
charge
deer.
plate glass windows in the old ones. Do you know how heavy their antlers are? Or how sharp their prongs are, twisting into teenagers running down the street?
Yes, I do know that.
Was that a deer?
In fact, it was a bear. I don't like being doubted.
It was when the elephants went over to the Dutch. I'd always trusted elephants.
I have shot cattle and children in Ethiopia. I've gassed mixed troops of Spanish, computer programmers, dogs. I've I've torn starlings apart with my bare hands. And I like doing it with my bare hands.
Did anyone see you leave? Were you followed? There are ospreys here that will have seen you arrive. And you're risking your life for you don't know what? Because he says things that aren't right. Don't you care? Maybe you don't know right from wrong yourself. What do I know about you after 2 years? I'd like to be glad to see you, but how can I?
Of course birds saw me. Everyone saw me walking along. Nobody knew why. I could have been on a mission. Everyone's moving about. And no one knows why. And in fact, I killed 2 cats and a child under 5. So it wasn't that different from a mission. And I don't see why I can't have one day and then go back. I'll go on to the end after this. It wasn't so much the birds I was afraid of. It was the weather. The weather here is on the side of the Japanese. There were thunderstorms all through the mountains. I went through towns I hadn't been before. The rats are bleeding out of their mouths and ears. Which is good. And so were the girls. By the side of the road. It was tiring there because everything's been recruited. There were piles of bodies. And if you stop to find out, there was one killed by coffee. Or one killed by pins. They were killed by heroin, petrol, chainsaws, hairspray, bleach. Foxgloves. The smell of the smoke was where we were burning the grass that wouldn't serve. The Bolivians are working with gravity. And that's a secret, so as not to spread alarm. Well, we're getting further with noise. And there's thousands dead of light in Madagascar. Who's going to mobilize darkness and silence? That's what I wondered in the night. At the end of the 3rd day, I could hardly walk. But I finally got down to the river. There was a camp of Chilean soldiers upstream, but they hadn't seen me. And 14 black and white cows downstream having a drink. So I knew I'd have to go straight across. But I didn't know whose side the river was on. It might help me swim, or it might drown me. In the middle, the current was running much faster. The water was brown. I didn't know if that meant anything. I stood on the bank a long time. But I knew it was my only way of getting here. So at last, I put one foot into the water. It was very cold, but so far that was all. When you've just stepped in, you don't know what's going to happen. The water laps round your ankles in any case.